Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at the 2020 U.S. House elections. So the House is the lower congressional chamber in the United States, as everybody should know if you're watching this. And today we're just going to be analyzing it and see who seems to be favored to win. There's, of course, a lot of House districts, so this is going to be kind of very watered down. I'm not going to have a lot of time to talk about each individual district. I might do separate videos for those, but this is just an overall look at how the House map looks and who seems favored to win. For this video, I'm doing more gradients since there's more districts. So we have safe, or uber safe, likely, very likely, likely, strong lean, weak lean, and tilt. Okay, that was a lot to get through. So those are going to be all the ratings for this prediction. So I'm going to be breaking it up into more segments. So why don't we just jump right into it? We have all the safe Republican districts that hands down, no question, are safe. Gosar's district is probably pretty safe for him. 2 districts in Texas here. A lot of safe districts in Texas because Texas is pretty conservative overall. It just has a more conservative culture than many other states do. It's mostly rural parts of the U.S. that we know are going to be super safe. Pennsylvania, there's nothing like in the extreme northeast here, though, that I'd consider absolutely safe for the Republican Party. West Virginia, all of its districts are safe at this point in time, which is interesting. It used to have like a totally all Democratic representation not that long ago, but that's changed pretty rapidly. West Virginia has had a very hard shift to the left, to the right recently. Oops, not that. Illinois has a few safe districts. Indiana, to the south. In the southern states, pretty much all the districts are safe blue or safe red. Just the way they drew them, they're very, the communities they represent are very defined, I think is a good way to put it. So, yeah, no argument here. North Carolina, they had to redraw the districts. So, yeah, to make it more fair, originally it was gerrymandered pretty heavily in favor of the Republican Party, and so the courts ruled that they had to redraw it. Florida, of course, the area near the Panhandle here is very conservative, so some safe districts there, some very safe districts there. In fact, we're going to call this district safe. Alabama, pretty much all the districts in Alabama, oh, well, not this one. Pretty much all the other districts in Alabama are safe. These rural districts in the South that aren't safe have pretty high African American populations, which tend to lean very heavily in favor of the Democrats. So that's the reason why those are not filled in yet. But yeah, next we're going to move on to the safe blue districts, uber safe blue. Okay, so let's see. For the very safe blue districts that have no shot at flipping, Maine's first districts, of course, Vermont, the districts in upstate New York that are like Albany, Massachusetts, pretty much all the districts are very safe for the Democrats. It's a blue state overall, even in the rural sections of the state. Let's fill in Boston, come on. Even the Cape district of Massachusetts, with Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, I'm going to consider that safe. The rural Rhode Island district, I would consider safe for the time being. Connecticut has 3 districts that are definitely safe for the Democrats, pretty much no matter what happens. New York City, of course, is very, very blue. Like some of these districts, the Republicans don't even run candidates. They're so lopsided in favor of the Democrats. So I just filled in AOC's district there. New Jersey, Jersey City, Newark, that area is also very safe blue. So those districts are all safe. Pennsylvania, of course, has some districts that we need to fill in as safe. I'm going to fill in that as safe. Okay. Delaware at large, Maryland. Now, Maryland, you can see the district's really funky. This is not actually, it was a gerrymander, but not a partisan gerrymander. It was more so a gerrymander to protect incumbent representatives. Oops, sorry. Virginia, the Northern Virginia area has moved very blue rapidly, and for that reason I'm considering these two districts safe. These two districts as well. So these districts here are like the districts with the high African American population. They're also filling in Charlotte and Raleigh. I don't think I pronounced that right. Georgia, Atlanta metro area has safe districts. Alabama, Mississippi, these are very high African American population districts. Florida, again, another high African American population district. We have Miami-Dade area, which is very safe blue section of the country here. I'm going to consider all that safe. Tennessee, Memphis, Nashville, Indianapolis is of course safe. Chicago, let's get all these districts here out of the way. None of these should flip. They are very, very, very blue districts. Again, kind of like New York. Ohio, we have Columbus, Akron, yeah, Cincinnati. Okay, Detroit. Those districts are all safe. I wouldn't consider this one completely safe, so I'm going to come back to it. Milwaukee, Madison, St. Louis, Kansas City, Missouri. That district is safe. Minneapolis, I cannot speak today, but Minneapolis is a safe blue district. Sorry I have to do a lot of zooming in because a lot of these blue districts are kind of tiny because they're right in the city centers. These districts in southern Texas, which have very high Hispanic populations, are safe. El Paso is safe. Houston, of course, safe districts. Dallas, safe districts there. New Mexico and Albuquerque, safe. What is this? Phoenix, that's safe. Las Vegas is safe. We have these districts in Colorado. This is like, darn it, these city names are coming out of my head. I don't know, Denver, Colorado, is that what it is? Oops, Seattle's safe. There's some rural areas here too that are also safe blue, which are interesting. Although some of that's just that most of the people live like right here in this district, but it just happens to extend far out where not that many people live, so it doesn't have a huge impact on the size of the district anyways. Oops, this is not safe. California is, of course, a very, very blue state. There's going to be a ton of blue districts here that are definitely safe for the Democrats, no question about it. Let's see. We'll come back to that one. Sorry about that. My mic cut out again. I basically just finished filling in the Los Angeles area of California with the safe blue districts. So now we're going to, well, the uber safe blue districts. Now we're going to go on to the safe districts, which are districts that should stay with the party under pretty much any circumstance, but they're not as solid as the other ones. I don't really know how to describe it. In California here, you have quite a few districts that are safe. Kevin McCarthy is probably safe. In Phoenix, these suburbs are quite Republican-leaning. Let's see, where else is there? In Texas here, there's some districts that have become a little bit competitive recently, but I'm still going to fill them in as pretty safe for the Republican Party. Same thing with this district here in the northeastern region of Dallas. In Florida, there's a lot of these districts that are kind of on the hinge of being competitive, but are just Republican enough for the Republicans to pretty reliably win. I would even go ahead and consider this. I'll just be cautious for now. Sorry, I'm being like a little bit extra cautious. You know what? We're just going to consider that one safe. Let's see. North Carolina, that Eastern District, maybe you could even consider it safe. I'm going to consider it, or uber safe. I'm just going to consider it safe. Same thing with this district here, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, Steinbanks District is probably pretty safe for her. New Jersey's 3rd District, pretty reliable for the GOP. I don't think there's any other states in Northeast here. Ohio has some. Indiana, these districts you could even consider super safe. Let's see where else. In Michigan, Wisconsin, in the Midwest, rural areas that are very white tend to be a little bit less Republican than like in the South. So that's why some of these districts are not completely safe, but are pretty safe. I consider this Southern Illinois district. Let's see, am I Minnesota? What am I looking for? None over there. I think that's all of them for the GOP. I don't think I'm really missing anything. I'll find out for later in the video. I'll fill in a district if I think I'm missing something. Okay, next we need to move on to the districts that are pretty much safe for the Democrats, but under a very extreme circumstance could flip. Oregon's 4th district, de Blasio is pretty popular, so I don't see that flipping. These California districts have become much more favorable to the Democrats in recent elections, so I'm going to fill those in as pretty much safe. Kirkpatrick's district in the southeast area of Arizona. Oopsies, not that. That district in Colorado, I would consider pretty safe for the Democrats, but, you know, things could change. Minnesota, I don't remember the number of this district off the top of my head, but this one is definitely safe. It's the Minneapolis suburbs. And these suburban districts, no, we're not going to fill in Illinois 6 yet. A lot of these suburban districts have become very much more favorable to the Democrats in recent elections, and it's hard to see them like flipping back, like Jennifer Wexton. In New Jersey, well, let's come back to New Jersey. Georgia, this district's pretty safe. It has a very high African American population. That's pretty reliable, so I consider that safe. Donna Shalala in Florida, she's probably pretty safe. Texas, none. Doesn't have any. Has a lot of districts though, but doesn't have any I'm looking for. This Eastern Connecticut district, pretty safe. It's a little bit more rural than some of these other districts, which is why I'm considering a step down, but still pretty safe. Let's see. In New Jersey, these suburban districts and like Bergen and stuff are probably pretty reliable for the Democrats. We'll actually fill in these two later, one step down. But I think that is it for the districts that are pretty safe, but not entirely, completely, totally safe for the Democratic Party. But again, I'll go back through and we'll see if we missed anything. I probably did. I always do. But yeah, I think that's it. Okay, next we're going to move on to the very likely GOP district. So let's start in Washington. What's her name? Jamie, her something Butler. I think she's probably pretty safe. This district does have a little bit of blue area along the coast, but it's overall pretty Republican. Nunes, probably pretty safe. This district narrowed up a little bit unexpectedly in 2018, but I still think it's going to go for him at the end of the day. Let's see, in Texas here, some people have talked about these districts flipping, but I just don't see it right now. I don't think it's time for them, but I do think down the road they could. So I'm going to fill in those. Crenshaw's district, I'll fill in also in this category. Florida, that's a pretty reliable district. North Carolina, Virginia. Let's see where else. These suburbs of Columbus, yeah, this is Columbus, I would say are pretty, it could have a little, it could force the district a little bit more left, but the Democrats weren't able to win it in 2018, so I'm going to keep it as very likely for the GOP. Indiana, I think this is the fifth district where Susan Brooks is not running again or seeking re-election. I think that the GOP should hold on to that. The Indianapolis suburbs have stayed pretty stubborn for the GOP, so I don't think that's going to change. This is the district Amy McGrath actually ran for in 2018. It should stay at the GOP. The Democrats weren't able to flip it. Kansas, this district could become competitive if the GOP. Watkins is pretty unpopular, so I think he'll save them. Minnesota, this was actually one of the few districts only 2 districts in 2018 that flipped from Democrat to Republican, and part of that was because the incumbent wasn't ready again, and the GOP put up a better challenger, but for now I'm going to keep that as a pretty likely seat. I don't see how the Democrats are going to win it back in a year that's likely not going to be as big of a year for them as 2018 was. See, in the Northeast here, I think that's all for New York. Arkansas, not enough. That's like where like Little Rock is, but it's not big enough to flip that district blue. So yeah, I think these are all the GOP districts that I would consider very likely to go for them. Okay, now we're going to move on to the districts that are considered very likely for the Democrats. A lot of these were districts that are the suburbs that flipped to them in 2018 that they should hold on to in most circumstances. In New Hampshire, I think this is Ann Custer's district. She should hold on to that pretty easily. She won in 2016. This Eastern District in Connecticut, alongside Maloney's district, this should be pretty easy holds. These suburban areas of New Jersey, I was talking about them earlier, should be pretty solid holds for the Democrats. This whole area around the New York Metro is very liberal. So yeah, let's see, where else? Illinois 6th District, yeah, that's pretty safe. No, I'm not going to fill in Ron Kind's district yet. Yeah, not yet. Angela Craig, she flipped that suburban district in Minnesota here in 2018 by a pretty decent amount. I don't really see why she should lose it in 2020. Sorry, I'm trying to go way too fast. I think this is Charlie Crist's district. Yeah, that's his. He should hold on to it. There's not really a reason why he shouldn't. This suburban Dallas district flipped. They should hold on. Oh, who's the person in this Arizona district? Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. Let me check quickly. Oh, it is, sorry about that. I don't know who it is. I'll figure it out one day, I'm sure. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head. Sorry about that. Josh Harder's district, that was a pretty easy flip for the Democrats in 2018. Should stay with them. I would consider this district in Washington pretty safe for them as well. It's a little bit more rural, but it's a pretty liberal rural district, so that should stay with them. And yeah, I don't see anywhere else in this map that I'm going to fill in yet, but we'll see. Next we need to move on to just the regular likely Republican district. Sorry I have so many gradients, but it's a House election and I want to be pretty detailed since there's so many different districts to cover, although I kind of am doing this watered down since I have to get through all of them, and I'm not going to spend 10 hours on this video. Okay, next we need to do the likely Republican districts. So these are districts that are just regular likely rating. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Nothing really over here. This district in North Carolina could be a little bit competitive, but I don't think it'll flip. Same thing here in Florida. Florida, I think 15th, that is. Nothing in Texas. Alaska should probably be very likely. Same thing with Montana. I don't know why I filled that in safe earlier. Sorry about that. Nothing in California. Let's see, where else? Oh, I mean, this is Iowa. This is Steve King's district, the Iowa's 4th district. And Steve King is pretty controversial, so this district is a very Republican district, but Steve King is not necessarily the most popular, although he might even get out primaried, so I don't even know if he's going to end up making it to the general election, so we'll have to see, but he's a controversial incumbent, so that's why this district's just likely. This is Amash's district. He's not running anymore. He made a brief bid for the presidency, but then dropped out due to some backlash against his candidacy. People on both Trump's side and Biden's side worried it would take away votes from them, so they didn't want him running, and yeah, there's just not as much of an appetite for third-party candidates this election season, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I'm keeping that as a likely district. As for the Democrats, they have a few of their own. I would consider Connor Lamb's district probably is going to stay with them. Let's see, where else? Haley Stevens, we'll come back to Haley Stevens' district. Ron Kind, probably going to stay with the Democrats, but it is a very rural district and it has become much more favorable to the Democratic Party. Southern Florida, where the Keys are. Fletcher's district in Texas, probably going to stay with them just based upon how those districts in Texas have been trending. This rural Nevada district is pretty safe for them. Let's see, where else? These districts in LA, these are more affluent areas, suburban areas. I'm not really sure. Would these be considered the hills? I don't know. I'm not a geography expert on California, but these districts have historically been somewhat close. I'm just going to keep them as lean or likely for now. TJ's district, TJ Cox district, probably should stay with him. It kind of represents like Fresno area, and it is a pretty rural district, but there's high Hispanic populations that make it blue, and also in California, the culture is just generally more liberal, meaning that even the rural parts of the state are more liberal. Sharice David's district, which is Kansas City, Kansas, has become much more favorable to the Democratic Party as that part of Kansas City has grown. And I don't really see anywhere else that I feel comfortable feeling it is likely at this moment in time. So yeah, those are all the likely districts, but they're kind of on the weaker end of likely. Okay, now we're going to move on to the stronger lean states for each party. So right now, of likely and safe states, the Republicans have 184, the Democrats have 212. Remember, you need 218 for a majority, so the Democrats are already pretty close to that, just with their likely seats alone, which is a pretty good sign for the Democratic Party for the House elections in 2020. But let's look at the lean districts. So this district is John Hagedorn's district. It was one of the other districts that flipped to the Democratic Party in the 2018 blue wave year. And it's more rural, and it's becoming more favorable to the Republicans, like a lot of these other rural areas in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, even northwestern Illinois. So I'm going to keep that as lean for now. As for Brian Fitzpatrick, I would keep his district as lean. I think that's a district Hillary Clinton actually won, Pennsylvania's first district. But Fitzpatrick is a pretty popular incumbent, and he's seen as a moderate Republican, so I think he would hold on to that district, as a lot of these suburban voters in that region tend to be more moderate. The New Jersey, this is the district Jeff Van Drew was in, and he flipped from Democrat to Republican. So he might, I'm not really sure if it's going to be a backlash with the Democrats, like saying he betrayed them, or maybe more moderates will vote for him because he was on both sides of the aisle. I don't know, but for now, that district leans in the GOP's favor pretty significantly. Peters King's district and the other Long Island district both lean in the Democrats' favor. Let's see. John Katko, I'd actually consider his district a strong lean. This is a district Hillary Clinton won, but John Katko is a pretty decently well-liked incumbent, so I'm going to keep that in his favor for now. Let's see where else we can go. Cincinnati, that Ohio's first district, I would consider as lean Democrat for now. I mean, lean Republican. They weren't able to flip it in the blue wave year of 2018. I don't really see how it's going to flip back to them. It's been a district that's becoming less favorable to them, so I'm going to keep that in their column for now. Let's see. I think that's all for the GOP. Let's look at the Democrats. Chris Papa's district, I think they'll stay with him. He flipped in 2018. Oh, wait. This district here, I would consider these suburban districts outside the New York Metro are probably going to stick with the Democratic Party for now. I would actually go ahead and consider these two like weaker, very on the weak end of likely. Let's see where else there is. Spanberg, we're going to come back to Spanberger's district. This is Will Hurd's district. He won in 2018, but this is a district that Hillary Clinton won, and Will Hurd is not running again. So it seems favored to flip to the Democrats, especially considering it's a district that Biden's likely to win, and Will Hurd is no longer in the race, and he was kind of the only Republican who could really like that district, so I think this will be a flip to the Democratic Party. The other two flips that we filled in so far have been the two North Carolina districts that the Democrats gained through redistricting. So yeah, this is the special election held the other day that Mike Garcia won. He won by a pretty handy margin, but I think it'll flip back to the Democratic Party. It's likely to be a district Biden wins by like 9 or 10 points, maybe even more, and it's becoming more favorable to the Democratic Party. Garcia is a pretty strong candidate, and Christy Smith, who was his challenger just the other day, was not necessarily the best candidate. So it's kind of an exception. Plus, it was just generally lower turnout, and yeah, I have to consider that a lean flip for the Democrats. Lauren Underwood, her district has become a lot more favorable to the Democrats recently. I have to consider it lean. This is Chicago suburbs. Let's see where else. Haley Stevens district. I might even consider it a weak lean. Yeah, probably, maybe even a weak lean. It's a rural part. It's a suburban part of Detroit that the Democrats flipped with Haley Stevens back in 2018. Haley Stevens did have like one or two controversial moments, but I don't really see the Republicans flipping that district back, especially since the Democrats are going to invest a lot of resources in Michigan this election cycle, and that's probably one of the districts that they're going to pay attention to, so I don't see that flipping. But yeah, I think that is all for the districts that are pretty solid leans for either side. Okay, yeah, now we need to move on. Well, we still have a few districts left to fill in. This district I forgot, this is Susie Lee's district, and she replaced Jackie Rosen in 2018. She should hold on to that district pretty easily, but let's keep going. So, let's see, weaker or moderate leans. One district that I would have to consider just a kind of regular lean would have to be Missouri's 2nd district. This is like the suburbs of St. Louis, and is currently represented. It is represented by Ann Wagner, and there's a pretty good Democrat opponent against her, Don Bacon. That should be a lean district. It might be a district Biden wins, but Don Bacon's decently popular. Let's see where else. Scott Perry should hold his district in Pennsylvania. That one the Democrats kind of realized after the Pennsylvania redistricting in 2018 that, oh wow, we actually have a shot at winning this district, so I think they'll take it a little bit more seriously this time. But at the end of the day, I do think it will go to him. Let's see where else we have on this map. Most areas are getting filled in pretty quickly. Let's see, for the Democrats, are there any lean districts that are pretty comfortable leans? Spanberger's district, probably a pretty safe bet. Well, not safe bet for the Democrats, but that does lean in her favor. She was able to flip it, despite her seeming to be the underdog in 2018. And that district has just become generally more favorable to the Democrats since 2018. So I think that it'll stick with her. Andy Kim's district, it's a very suburban New Jersey district. I was talking about how Trump is not necessarily the most well liked in New Jersey. I think he'll hold on narrowly. Yeah. Susie McBath, that's another one. Georgia's 6th district, these are the suburbs. She was able to flip it narrowly in 2018, but I think she'll hold on because the district is becoming much, much more favorable to the Democrats very fast. Illinois' 13th district, this is one of the ones that Republicans narrowly held on to in the 2018 wave year against them. And I think they'll be able to win it again. Right now, the incumbent is Rodney Davis, who's relatively popular enough to carry him over the top, even if it's not the best environment for the Republicans nationally. Yeah, I think that is, and I'd also consider Jerry Golden's district lean. He won in 2018, but I think he'll flip back to the GOP. Barely won despite there being ranked choice voting. It's a district that Trump's very likely to carry again. It just doesn't look too good for him, especially considering this district is moving away from the Democrats pretty fast and becoming more favorable to the GOP. So I expect that one to flip, but I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't flip either. Yeah. Okay, finally we need to look at the very weak lean and tilt districts. They're going to be very, very close and competitive. Right now the Democrats are already over the top, projecting to have about 225 House seats, but let's see where else they could win, or the GOP could maybe pick up a seat in. Let's see, Slotkin's district, she voted to impeach Trump. This is a district Trump won. And it's hard to say if it's whose favorite it's really trending in, so I'm gonna have to keep it as Tilt D for now, but we'll see. Burnside's district in upstate New York, he was able to narrowly flip this, but upstate New York has just been becoming much more Republican very, very fast, and I do think that there's a good chance he loses this time around. Colin Peterson, he's in a district that Trump won by about 30 points, which is pretty insane. He narrowly clung on in 2016, but the Republicans are taking the race pretty seriously this time around, and it's going to be hard for him to win in his district. I mean, he didn't vote for impeachment, and he has been very, very moderate on a lot of issues, and has definitely bucked his own party a lot. So, but I don't know, I just find it hard to see a Democrat winning in a Trump plus 30 district in this polarization, which has only gotten worse since 2016. Oklahoma's 5th, Kendra Horn narrowly won here in 2018, which is kind of a surprise. Most people thought it was a pretty safe district for the GOP, and I'm not sure if that's because this district is trending in favor of the Democrats. It probably is long term. It's Oklahoma City, basically. But at the same time, it just seems like the Democrats, it's going to be a district Trump's probably going to win pretty overwhelmingly, so I think it's going to be hard for her to win there, especially when she voted for impeachment, and yeah, I just don't quite see it. Let's see, where else? Ben McAdam in Utah. The leanest district to him slightly. He was the Salt Lake City mayor, so he does have ties to the region. He's relatively popular. He pretty much ran against the best Republican for the district in 2018, Mia Love, and he narrowly beat her. So I think he should cling on, but we'll see. It could definitely change. Let's go to Cunningham's district here. Joe Cunningham, another surprise in 2018. He narrowly won. And the district probably is becoming more favorable to the Democrats, but it's probably not going to be as cushy of an environment this time around. He does have the incumbency advantage now. It'll be a very close race, but I don't see him winning. This district in Texas, probably a lean, maybe even tilt district. It's in the Dallas suburbs, has been becoming more favorable and was rated as safe in 2018, but was unexpectedly close, so you never know. Another district that is a similar situation was Woodall's district, which I'm actually going to rate as a very slight tilt flip to the Democratic Party. He very narrowly won by like 0.1 point, and the district was expected to be safe, and it just seems overall becoming much worse for the GOP there, so I expect that one to be in his favor. Staten Island, don't forget about that. That district, New York 11, Max Rose is the incumbent. He's pretty popular and he's been pretty moderate, and New York itself really does not like Trump at all, but Staten Island's a little bit detached from New York, quite literally, and a little bit removed from the cultural, the cultural influence of the city and stuff, but you still have southern Brooklyn. I mean, any district that has like a subway running through it is probably going to go blue, so I'm going to keep it as blue for now. Let's see, where else? New Mexico's 2nd District. Yes, this one's represented by Xochitl Torres Smalls, and she narrowly won by the skin of her teeth in 2018. I think she's a good fit for the district, but the district has just been trending away from the Democrats, and she narrowly won. Again, it probably won't be as good of a national environment, but she is a good fit for the district, so she's definitely not a goner. She could definitely win the seat. Finally, this leaves Iowa, which is funny since 3 districts of the 4, well, pretty much all 4 districts are somewhat competitive, but these 3 districts are particularly competitive. Okay, finally, we are going to move on to Iowa. So, we have 3 districts in Iowa. Let's start with Iowa's 1st district, which is Abby Finkenauer's district. She won in 2018 by a pretty decent margin. I think she'll narrowly hold. I think the GOP might take this race a little bit more seriously this election, but it'll necessarily narrow up compared to 2018, and it's going to be in a district that Trump might win, so I'm going to keep her as a slight favorite. Iowa 2, Losbach is the incumbent. He won by a decent amount in 2018, but he's not running again. So I do think that it's probably going to flip to the GOP slightly, only because it's going to be a Trump district, but I do think it'll be very close and very competitive. In Iowa 2, I'm going to lean in the Democrats' favor slightly. Cindy Axne is the incumbent. She's relatively popular, and she's in a district Trump won, but she's bucked her own party quite a bit. So I expect her to narrowly hold on. So yeah, here's the whole House map. Right now, the Democrats have 221 districts, or 231 districts leaning in their favor. The Republicans have 204 that seem to be leaning in their favor. So that means that the Democrats keep a majority. I do think that a lot of these districts that I rated where with Democrat incumbents having a slight advantage might become lean GOP, since it was a blue wave here in special circumstances, and how many of them won, but we don't know which ones those are going to be yet, so we'll have to wait and see. I do think that that the House is probably going to be won by Democrats. The GOP can definitely make gains, but the final few seats are going to be very difficult for them to win. That'll put them over the top and give them a majority. So, yeah. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry about how long this was and how watered down it was. I didn't want to spend like 5 minutes on every single district. It would just have taken way too long. So yeah, you can see here's the district. Here's the map of the U.S. If you just want to see the overall composition. But yeah, definitely look out for more videos coming out soon, and like and subscribe and comment if you enjoyed this video.